Hello and welcome to Impact Africa, where we celebrate and have conversations with diverse people, organizations and businesses making positive impact on lives and communities. In addition, Impact Africa highlights and celebrates events, places and positive news. I am Dr. Kemi Akiode Adebayo, known as Mama K, and today's program we will be focusing on albinism just to raise more awareness of it and to share with you some of our interviews that we've had with people living with it, people who have it, or is that the right terminology? So you'll soon find out. Enjoy.
My name is Shari Parker. I do a lot of different things. I'm a mother and a wife. I'm a doctor, a rehabilitation physician, a teacher, and I'm also involved a lot with advocacy around albinism, both in Australia and around the world. I think I always knew that I had albinism from when I was very young. Growing up in a family with another person with albinism, it was normal for who we were. It was normal to wear glasses, it was normal to use a monocular, it was normal to put sunscreen on and wear a hat. That was just what you did. So I think it's always been a part of who I was.
I know. Well, I mean, yes. Yeah, that's
Year
right.
9, year 10, when I was 15 or 16 years of age, I clearly remember high school science class with Mrs. Whiteman, and the biology section that we were doing at the time involved dissecting bull's eyes. And I developed a real fascination with everything biological, and particularly related to human physiology and how the body worked. And it was at that point that I thought, you know what, I really want to become a doctor. It was a challenge to get through all of the reading that was required to study medicine, especially with the very small font that was there. So I studied differently. I would record my lecture notes, I would read from the textbook onto an old Walkman and then listen for my study rather than cramming in the books. So I'd get a lot of headaches, trying to read for hours. So I'd studied smarter, not harder, and eventually graduated from medicine in 1999. And funnily enough, I graduated near the top of my class with honours. But from my perspective, I think it was really coming to the acceptance of who I am and incorporating and embracing my albinism as part of who I am, rather than trying to do things despite my albinism. So I think my greatest defining moment has been that I've been able to incorporate albinism into who I am and what I do. The kids have got a wonderful acceptance of difference from a health perspective or from an albinism perspective. My 3-year-old will often say, "Mummy's got white hair, Ada's got blonde hair and Daddy's got brown hair," and they just accept it. The older two will sometimes be a bit cheeky, taking advantage of Mum's vision. They'll try and get away with things out of my eye shot, but what they don't realise is that what I lack in vision, I make up for in spades in my other senses, and I can hear what they're getting up to from many, many metres away. When I think of the future for people around the world with albinism, this United Nations campaign is a wonderful step in raising awareness amongst everyone throughout the globe about what albinism is and what albinism isn't. My hopes and dreams for people with albinism around the world is that they will be accepted by people around them for who they are, not because they've got a condition or out of pity, but that they're accepted for who they are by people around them. And hand in hand with that is that self-acceptance.
What is albinism? What are the symptoms? What are the causes? Is there any treatment, for it? Yeah.
I can say, albinism, first and foremost, is not contagious. It doesn't mean when you touch me, you will be infected. No, that's what most people should understand, because they think They don't want to be close to us. They don't want to touch us. I remember I once met a lady when I was going to a taxi in the morning. She was walking in front of me. And when she turned around, she saw me and she ran. She thought maybe I was going to her. And guess what? She screamed and she ran. I was so like, oh my God, what's happening?
Screamed.
She screamed. And I was like, albinism is not contagious. You know, it's just a lack of melanin. It's characterized by a lack of melanin only. So it's just only lack of pigmentation. So it's not contagious at all. The difference is between me and you is just the skin color. So people should understand that albinism is a genetic condition which is characterized by a lack of melanin. That's what we most tell people.
So, Brian, I don't know how that will feel when, you know, for you, what you just shared there with the lady, you know, they saw you and screamed and ran.
Sure.
And having to live, you know, with that, you know, every day and so on. Is there any treatment? And for you, I know earlier on you spoke about the fact that you had to know, okay, you can't go in the sun and, you know, stay out in the sun. What are some of the symptoms, you know, for people with albinism? And what treatment, if any, you know, because people think, okay, yeah, like you said earlier on, oh, maybe I'm going to do plastic surgery or whatever. So share with us, educate us.
All right. Treatment, symptoms, we don't have that in the condition. It's a condition that you're born with. So you have albinism, so you cannot treat it after you have it.
I'm just wanting people to hear that.
Yes, definitely. So it's not like maybe someone who has a vitiligo that the skin starts to peel off. No, from birth you are just born with the condition, with the skin type and with the skin color.
Yeah.
So what we basically do to keep our skin like this is, you know, apply a lot of sunscreen. And just applying sunscreen alone on itself is not enough, because you need to regularly apply it, maybe after 2 hours and 3 hours. So it differs. The things that I use, I don't believe that the Queen is also using them, but it's based on your preference and your prescription.
Right.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and I know, you know, for some people with albinism, you know, your eyes sometimes, you know, whereby you might struggle with your eyesight, the sun, because some people, you know, at work might not take all that into consideration in terms of what needs to happen. So what more can be done, you know, to address, like you said, the sunscreen? Is it everybody that can afford to buy that? Is that, you know, things like that. So what more can be done, you know, for, if I have an employee now, you know, at work, how can I help that person more without necessarily picking on that person, but making that person not feel different, but still integrate that person into the workplace?
Because ultimately, I think it's about you know, the working space has to be, the work environment has to be conducive, so that we are able to maximize our potential.
Yes.
But general albinism just affects the eyes, the hair, and not the eyes.
The skin.
The skin.
The skin.
So it's the eyes, skin, and the hair.
Right.
So in the workplace, I think, you know, employees need to take heed and to be aware that as a person with albinism, you know, when you're working on a laptop or on a screen, the screen has to be grayed out so that it doesn't affect your eyes. You're sitting there for a long time, straining your eyes, and ultimately you don't enjoy what you're doing. So employees can help people that have albinism by pretty much asking them what they're comfortable with and what they're not comfortable with. And you know, one of the challenges as you go to interviews, I think sometimes you're even afraid to mention these things, because
that's why I'm trying to have that conversation. Yes.
Because it's like, no, hey, this one will come in with a lot of baggage now. We need to organize this bigger screen. And we need to. But those are the things that we want. You know, if you're going to be working with paper, writing something down, is that amount of light that you're taking enough for you for that day? Do you have rest days? Do you have some time to rest your eyes so that basically you and the Queen, I think, because she's been more in the corporate than I have,
Right.
I think she'd know a lot.
Okay.
way
Yeah, I was. I can say I was working. Okay, I'm also in IT. You know, yeah, I was
So you
speaking-
work a lot with computers.
Yes,
Okay.
you know, the company that I was working at, they understood, okay, my condition, but I'm the one who had to make them understand that I need like a big screen because I'm partially sighted, you know, hence, you know, we say albinism is characterized by lack of melanin because it affects like inside their eyes also. So I had to make them understand that I need a big screen, and on that screen it need maybe zoom, you know, because you know I need to see, you know, big letters. So I had to make them understand, and they understood, and I think, you know, is one of the things that most companies, in fact, all the companies around, not only South Africa but the world, they should understand that we have people with albinism and they are capable. So they need to have it, such equipment or like
To cater
ready,
for,
yeah,
yes.
ready, you know, put there already. Not when I come, that's when you will, you know, have to go out there and buy. They have to be there ready so that we can feel accommodated, so that they won't have challenges when I come for the interview and you won't take me because you're thinking, yo, I have to buy that 10,000 screen, I have to buy that Zoom software, it's so expensive, you know, but you're not, you know, taking my potential. So they need, you know, to work on such things, you know, equipment must be there already, because really we are capable, we are smart.
More than capable.
Oh, definitely. I'm just honored and impressed. You
And
know,
I
with,
also believe that also our government should really like assist us in such things, because like you said, you know, most people cannot afford sunscreens. You know, I know there are few hospitals and clinics that provide free sunscreens, and I think it should be done in every clinic or hospitals all around the world. And we do have also albinism organizations like the one now we have Mr. Albinism South Africa. So they should come on board and support us, because we want like everyone to feel happy in their own country, to feel accommodated, to feel loved.
also.
Yeah.
Yes, the first segment focused on a video to explain, you know, to you what albinism is all about, and I hope you've benefited, you know, one way or the other, even if it's one item that you picked from it. And the interview with Miss Lerato and Mr. Brian, they were the Miss and Mr. Albinism for South Africa 2021-2022. Amazing two people. And, you know, when they were explaining about, you know, albinism is not about when you touch somebody, you get it, or it's an illness, you know, that you have to treat. So, yes, people are born with it. Enjoy the second segment. Is albinism? Just to educate us, is it genetic? Is it something that is passed on? Is it something you develop? What is it?
Okay. First of all, albinism, there's no specific name to explain thoroughly albinism, because it's a medical term. So it is an inherited disease. I mean, sorry to say, it's not a disease. It's an inherited condition. So it's a genetic way of meeting two people that are meeting, and then they give birth to a child with
But it
albinism.
doesn't mean that your parents, was either them? No. So it could be from some, you know, way back in terms of genes.
Yes, in terms of genes, you know, because when two pigmented persons meet together, they don't know.
Right.
In other families, you don't have like a person that you know you will give birth to a child with albinism. Right. But when you meet together and both of your families in your family line, both of them is genetically they have those traces of albinism. So it's when you meet. But when someone meet, like one is having and one doesn't, there's a possibility that you can give birth to a child with albinism. Maybe not literally with everything, like the hair, the skin, and the eyes. Maybe it would be like you have a child who's short-sighted, you have a child whose hair is maybe goldish or brown, like that. So now you find that there is like those traces. But when they meet together, both families, then they give birth to a child that is having everything like me.
Right. Okay.
Do you understand?
Okay.
So it's genetically.
Okay, so now let's go to your NGO, your non-governmental organization, Universal Change for Albinism Nobles. You can. And I think before the break, you mentioned the fact that, yes, you can. Tell us about the organization and how it came about and what you're hoping to achieve through the organization.
Thank you so much. You Can was born this year in February. As I was saying, I don't know if I maybe mention, okay. I ran an NGO at first, Western Cape Albinism and Hypopigment Foundation. I funded that organization. So it was like 2012, 2013. So when I left that organization, and then I didn't involve myself in any organization after that. So 5 years passed. And then some of the persons with albinism in Western Cape came back together to say, good people, we don't have an organization anymore. So the organization that existed, it now it fell apart. So we need to have an organization, we need to have an identity. Okay. Because now what happened is that some involve themselves in other disability organization. So now, okay, fine, in that we came together. And then when we came together, we tried, it was 2021, it was like September. So we tried, but because of the COVID and everything, then we couldn't. So again, they approached me, hey, Sister Sylvia, please, man, let's come together again. Please help us, because at least you have the experience, you know how the things are working. So but I didn't want, due to the experience that I had in the first one. So I said to myself, no, man, I don't want. But then when I was sitting, I said to myself, the fact that I'm telling myself that I cannot, it's what I didn't want. I never want in my life to tell myself that I cannot. There was a time that I even went to do a course in welding, to prove that I can. In welding, I was welding, but nevertheless. But what I'm saying is that, so we came together. We came with different names. We came with, and then we had a meeting on the 19th of February, and then in the names that we had, so people came up. We say, no, we like the one that says you can, the one that you came with. So I came with that one. But for me, it was something to encourage the next person with albinism, that don't look down on yourself, you can. Just like I was saying to myself all my life that I can. So now I was saying we can. But then now I needed to, not just to say you can, but how do I put together that? What is it that we want? We want a change. And we don't want a change in the Western Cape. We want the universal everywhere. There must be a change when it comes to persons with albinism. So I came up, I built up the name, You Can, Universal Change for Persons with Albinism Nobles.
Yeah, this particular interview for me was very sensitive, very emotional, and very educative, because even for me, yes, I do see people with albinism, and I didn't understand their struggle. So for Miss Sylvia Mama, who was explaining our daily struggle, and as well, if you watch the full interview, which I will advise you to watch, where she, in this segment, we just focused on what she felt, when people say people will live with albinism, which she feels is not right, because albinism is becoming like a disease or sickness, which is what it is definitely not. Thank you to Sylvia, thank you to Brian and Lerato for all you're doing to raise an awareness of albinism, and I'm hoping through the full interview and even this where we're revisiting, which we hope to still continue to revisit, because yes, we want to continue to raise an awareness of people who who are struggling, throughout of no fault of theirs, but whether be it poverty, whether be it, the condition, whether be it disadvantage, in terms of a disability or the other. So yes, we're using this platform to try and raise more awareness so that when you meet such people or you have children, with albinism, you can know what to do, you can know who to turn to. We will be sharing the details at the end as well for you to contact them and to just find out more. And just, yes, to integrate at work. How do you integrate, for people who have albinism in terms of the sun and, the screen of computers? I will advise you to go and watch, the previous full-on interview that we have that is on YouTube. Okay, that's all we've got time for. Remember, this is Dr. Mama K signing off saying, stay safe, stay blessed, love you all. God is love.